I'd like to begin with some thank yous. First to my fellow honorees, Rabbi Eli Silverberg and Mrs. Anna Simon. I read your biographies. I know, of course, Rabbi Silverberg for many years, and I'm not quite sure what I'm doing up here to represent the alumni. When I read your accomplishments, I'm honored and I'm privileged to share this evening with you. Thanks. To Rabbi Boaz Mori, Yedid Nafshi, and to all my colleagues at Yeshivat Leva Torah, I thank Hashem daily for the zchut to be able to work in a place that I love. And I'm inspired by you, and I'm also in awe of everybody who I'm able to work with. Rav Moshe Weiss, you've been a second father to me. I think in a public forum, any other words are superfluous. To my parents who unfortunately could not be here today, Madeline and Charles Cytrin, Mom and Dad. So you could have handled my decision to defer Columbia Law School and instead attend Yeshivat Darche Noam Shapell's, and then defer again in a very different way. Thank you for having the wisdom to allow me to chart my own path and for supporting me every step of the way. To my wife Tzila, my life partner, my best friend, your love and support is the one constant that I have. The poet T.S. Eliot says that you are the still point in a world that's constantly turning. When the world is topsy-turvy, you're slow and you're steady and you're with me every step of the way, and thank you very much. I love you. To my children, Yonatan, and Mayan, and Adi, and Amichai, and Hillel, I'm here tonight really because of you. Stephen Covey says, start with the end in mind. In our tradition, we have a different phrase, Sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila. Because more than 20 years ago, when I began studying for the Torah for the first time at Pardes and then at Shapell's, I began envisioning the family that I wanted to have. I wanted my children to have a father who is a Ben Torah. I wanted to raise children to keep Torah mitzvahs, a home with the Shabbat would be observed, and Torah values would be paramount. And so I sat and I learned, and I sat and I learned some more. And now Hashem has granted me my every wish. 5 beautiful, incredible, unique children, each with his or her own strengths and talents and abilities. Im and I have been zoche to create the home about which I dreamt at Shapell's. You've been born into a family where Avodas Hashem is primary. You attend religious schools, and you live here in Eretz Yisrael. You see Ima prepare so carefully for Shabbat, and you see me struggle to keep up with the Daf Yomi. And while Ima and I do our best to be Torah true role models for you, there is something that we've not been able to provide you. We cannot give you the experience of being a Baal Tshuva. And that is why it's so important for me that you, my children, are here with me tonight. This yeshiva is where it all began. These are my roots. I do not have family in this country. Look around you. This is your family. Now, a few thank yous to the people at Shapell's. First of all, to Harold and to Zia. Thank you for all the months of hard work, your attention to all the myriad details which made tonight so beautiful. Zia especially had some 25-hour days the last few days, so thank you very much. And for all the other staff who put the dinner together. To Rav Hirschfeld, for your wisdom and steady hand at the helm. And to Rav Shuren. My first day at Shapell's, I was placed in Rav Shuren's afternoon class. I was straight from Pardes, living in Nachlaot with 2 non-religious roommates. Rav Shuren kept saying, my grandfather says this, and my grandfather says that. And I finally said, Chatayim Maskir Hayom, I finally said, Rabbi, I love my grandfather also, but I don't go around quoting him all the time. There was a very long, awkward moment of silence. I think I heard Daniel Michael's heart actually stop pounding for a few minutes. And then Rav Shuren very kindly and gently explained to me that his grandfather was Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky, one of the Gedolim of the previous generation. Rav Shuren opened up for me the world of the Eastern European yeshivas, and of Slobodka in particular. But more important, Rav Shuren opened up his home to me, and he opened up his heart to me. And I can't thank you enough for being my role model then, and for continuing to guide me today. And it's still very hard for me to kind of imagine Shapell's without you being there in the front lines. To Rav Kurlinsky, my Mesader Kedushin, Colonel T.E. Lawrence, the legendary Lawrence of Arabia, said that there are two types of dreamers. There are those who dream with their eyes closed, and there are those who dream with their eyes open. Quote, all men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind wake up in the day to find it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dreams with open eyes to make it possible. You are certainly not a daydreamer, but you are a dreamer of the day. But I want to thank you not only for being a visionary builder of these institutions, but first and foremost for being a Rebbe. The time I spent in your morning shiur, or should I say in your boot camp, was the single most formative experience I had in learning Gemara. Your fiery passion, your insistence on getting pshat, your uncompromising insistence on a careful, close reading of what the text say, what do the words say. You certainly had little room for dummies or silly comments in your class, and I was cannon fodder for more than my share of silly comments, and you certainly let me know it. But rather than break me, you molded me. Much of what I do today as a Gemara shiur Rebbe in the morning is based upon what I learned in your shiur. So thank you. In 1990, I had spent a few months at Pardes and was looking to learning yeshiva for a year before commencing law studies at Columbia University. And then Stushny came along and convinced me to come to Shapell's. The truth is that convincing me was rather easy, but getting me to stay was much harder. And the reason I stayed was because of the institution that Rav Karlinsky and Rav Hirschfeld, Rav Shuren, Rav Mendel Farber, Rav Yosef Kamenetsky, and others who were there from that time built. Maybe just a few things which I think highlight the uniqueness of Darche Noam Shapell's. Number one, a hashkafa, which is defined bottom up by the text, and not vice versa. I wanted a yeshiva in which the hashkafa would follow smoothly and naturally from the close study of the text, and not one in which a predetermined worldview would slant the way in which we'd read the text. No right-wing agendas, no left-wing agendas, certainly no feminist agendas, no frum agendas, a place where hashkafa could be built up by what the text says. Second quality I found was ethical sensitivity, musar. When he was beginning his yeshiva, Yad Aron, the Rosh Yeshiva there, had a problem. He had a bachor who was an acknowledged Ilui. He was a genius. He was a very, very bright guy, a very strong learner. The problem was that his midot were not exactly exemplary. He was just starting his yeshiva, and every bachor really counted. And he didn't know whether to keep the bachor in the yeshiva or to ask him to leave. He went to ask Rav Shach. Rav Shach told him that the bachor must be asked to leave the yeshiva, because before it is anything, a yeshiva is a place in which midos tovos are valued more than one's learning ability. Without midos tovos, there is no yeshiva. At Darche Noam, I was surrounded and inspired by towering ethical role models. Last point, hashkafic pluralism. Take a minute and take a look at the people sitting to your left and to your right. Take a look at the people around you, the Rabbi sitting at the rabbi's table, the alumni. What other yeshiva can you name in which the rabbis and the alumni are so varied? In most other yeshivas, the rabbis have the exact same resume. They study the same yeshivas, and if you give me about 3 seconds and let me see the kippah that you're wearing in your head, I can pretty much tell you what you're going to answer to whatever the cutting issue of the day is. But that's not so at Shapell's, not here. I needed a place where I could hear different voices and different views, argued eloquently and passionately, but respectfully. I also need a place in which the Rosh Yeshiva had the self-confidence in Torah to understand that Darche Noam is not just a cute melody, but rather it's a mission statement. In closing, 36 years ago, a few young rabbis had the vision to start a different kind of yeshiva. 36 years and thousands of alumni later, Darche Noam Shapell's has proven its value to Klal Yisrael. This dinner launches the celebration of Darche Noam's 36 years, twice chai. Kiem chaynu v'orech yameinu. May Hashem give strength to the leaders and Rabbeim of this institution to continue teaching Darche Noam's unique message. And to the alumni, as Rabbi Aronson said, it's all about hakaras hatov. Let's get behind the yeshiva. Let's continue to give our financial support to the yeshiva to enable the rabbis to focus their time and energies on where it needs to be focused, which is teaching Torah, unity through Torah, to a new generation. See, Harold, I managed to do it all in 3 minutes.